Move it a little bit. All right. All right, so welcome anybody that's new here, visiting. I'm filling in for the normal pastor, DJ. So excited to share with you guys. So is everybody ready for this storm coming up here? Yeah. I don't know. It looks like, what's that?
Time will tell.
Yeah. I guess nobody really knows what's going to happen here. But, so, good. Well, I just started a Fatherhood Bible study this week, and with some guys, some fathers. And so I was going to share with you guys the first session that we went over in our Bible study tonight as my sermon, and I wanted to make it, it's kind of specifically geared towards fathers, but I think it applies to anybody that is in a family, part of a family, So hopefully we can apply this, to everybody here. And I wanted to make it interactive. So maybe we could just kind of have a conversation as opposed to me doing all the talking. So for starters, what is a favorite memory that you have of your dad?
Pancakes.
Pancakes? So you got to explain that.
No, it doesn't make any sense. So my parents were missionaries, and getting pancake mix and maple syrup was really complicated, but every Saturday he would make a batch of pancakes and maple syrup from scratch. So that was a thing that he did on 2 different continents.
Nice. Anybody else? I'm not going to let you guys get away without talking, so.
So my dad was pretty handy. So I learned a lot of how to work with tools, how to build things with him. So my favorite memories of my dad is working with him, building stuff with him, like putting up the fence around our yard, stuff like that.
Nice. Maybe one more. No.
I think my dad taught me how to work.
Okay. Nice. Adam, you're going to say something?
Yeah, I don't know. I like that.
Adam just wants to hear just say something, encouraging.
So I can't actually say that because my father died when I was young, so I
Oh.
so
Okay.
I would if I was.
Yeah.
Mine, okay, so this was kind of weird, but I don't know. I feel like one of my favorite memories, and it's just stuck with me, is skinning animals that my father had hunted. And Rocco, my dad never wanted to hunt, but that was always an interesting experience. I know that's really weird, but I think part of the reason it's tied to being a good memory is that hunting is part of, part of my dad's personality. It's part of his character. He did it so much, so I think that memory is tied to him.
Yeah.
But it's kind of it has nostalgia to it. Learned how to skin a rabbit. Although I was a little sad about eating the rabbit because I was like, this is also kind of a cute animal.
Yeah, rabbits are tough ones.
But I was around it a lot, so at the same time I was like, okay, it tasted like chicken. That's what we said. So.
All right. Nice. All right. So, great stories. So tonight, I'd like to have an interactive discussion about looking at your family as a team rather than a group of individuals. So, let's start with a short history of fatherhood. Historically, families used to be interdependent. This was the default. Fatherhood once meant being with your children throughout the day, as fathers were constantly around to teach, lead, guide, shape, train, and develop. Family was where the father experienced as much of life as possible, integrating the family into his daily activities. Decisions were made with the future generations in mind, ensuring that all the family's resources were passed down for their benefit. And one quick example I remember from last night we're studying Bach. It sounded like Bach was around his family a lot. More than once in the history of Bach, it mentioned, in addition to all the amazing things Bach did, and he, was very involved in raising his large family. So that seemed to be one example, that we discussed. So that's a little history of fatherhood. Then a little history of families. Families, again, were interdependent families that existed for thousands of years, where families served each other. There was a time when families worked together on a common economic enterprise. We know this as a household. For example, they shared raising children, which included discipleship and education, care for the elderly, and working together on assets that were stewarded for generations. So that's some history. And now let's look at the American dream and what that tells us about family. So, how would you guys define the American dream? I'm sure you've all heard of that term. How would you define that? Were you raising your hand over there? Oh, okay.
Well, it's life, liberty, and happiness.
Life, liberty, and happiness. Okay. Pursuit of happiness. So, like happiness though? What is it about specifically about the American dream that leads to happiness, according to the narrative? Buying lots of.
That's not the actual American dream.
Yes.
I think that, what the Lord wants for everyone biblically, peace and prosperity and joy, all these things make life very similar to what we think of as the American dream, right? We just work and prosper and be comfortable and have peace.
And like the original American dream, I don't know how much you can say about that now, but I'm sure there still is compared to some nations, that our work could lead to prosperity because we weren't under extreme burdensome government. So you had the freedom to pursue skills at high levels, and assuming you could work hard and pursue that, it wasn't just going to be supposed to be taxed right out from under you, or in the case of some communist countries, literally taken just to be distributed. So you're supposed to have the freedom to find work, do that work well, and then that will bring you success.
Very, very well said. So obviously there could be many definitions. I think part of what they're getting at here is, some of the milestones in our modern Western world. Family, college, education, a career, a house, kids, a car, retirement. This can play out in many ways for different families, but a common way that it culminates is in parents preparing for the golden years and becoming empty nesters, so after their kids are gone, becoming empty nesters where they can enjoy a stress-free, responsibility-free retirement, attempting to enjoy their life through what they've saved up for themselves over the years. And these parents hold on to an individualized concept imposed on them by Western cultural values that prioritizes freedom, individualism, while failing to recognize the value of a family team. And freedom is great, but we have become obsessed with the freeing up the individual with absolute freedom so he can pursue his own interest at the expense of his family. Often, family is viewed as a springboard to leverage himself into success for his own good and individualistic pursuits. So, do you guys have any comments on that? Anything to say about that? Agree, disagree?
Selfishness has crept into our culture.
Yeah. So we spent some time contrasting the historical idea of a family functioning as a team with the more modern idea of a family as a group of individuals. So, let's talk about, we're thinking about this family team. So that's kind of the idea we're trying to flush out. So when would a family team start? So in Genesis 2:23-24, the Bible says, "This at last is bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Therefore, a man shall leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his wife, and they shall become one flesh." So a team begins when a man and a woman decide to unite together and merge every area of their lives as they enter a covenant of marriage. The marriage has the capacity to reveal the deepest sense of a team through this oneness. This happens because the two members of the team, now husband and wife, voluntarily lay down many of the individualistic identities they carried to embrace a unified person. When the team is embraced, it bears fruit and multiplies as children are brought into this dynamic. And a family is best served when individuals come together as a team with a mission, laying aside hyper-individual identity and becoming a part of a structure that has the capacity to have a major impact and influence in the world. Families can still support the individual gifts and needs of each member and gather around each other. These things are not at odds. So, and there's one more question to consider here before we kind of keep going. Does a family have to hit a generational reset button every 18 years? After 18 years, that generation takes on debt, gets a profession, meets family on holidays, and little is passed along. The previous generation burns through money and passes little resources along while settling for this generational reset. So I think we're trying to, build an idea of a multi-generational, family team, as opposed to one that, has to reset every 18 years. So, can you guys identify with that? Is that a concept? Yes.
So, I feel like sometime this past summer, Adam and I were talking about, the Lord talks a lot about inheritance, different things you pass down to your children. And we were saying, in the case of like homeschooling too, like any type of skill, that an inheritance isn't necessarily just land or money, but it can also be skills. And you usually saw that historically, like you brought up Bach. Bach was not the first composer in his family line. He was a long line of composers before him. He was, yes, the master of all. Like even his own sons didn't meet up to his standards, but he had really benefited from his family expertise before him. He didn't just pop out of nowhere. Okay, I know a lot about music, but you see that a lot in instrument making. There were always families of instrument makers, and sometimes you have father and sons, and then these instruments are 300 plus years old. But that is also part of that. You shouldn't have to start from zero. You should be carrying on from generations before you, rather than like you said, okay, I can pick something at 18, start from scratch.
Yeah.
Where am I going? So,
Well, I think in other countries you also have it where the grandparents, like the kids grow up to have kids, and the grandparents actually live in the home to take care of the kids, while the parents are working. You slowly work your way down that way, so you have multiple generations in a house just helping each other through things. But sometimes it is nice to have grandparents go, you can calm down. It's not that big a deal that time when you're parenting.
right? So grandparents might know a thing or two to help the parents. Yeah, I think that, I don't know, I'm sure that was common. I mean, your parents were missionaries all over the world, right? So I guess that
My
was,
grandparents would come every time they had a conference they had to go to. My grandparents would actually fly over and watch us for the week that they were gone. So I had both sets of grandparents come at various times.
nice. Do you guys have any experience with any of this kind of stuff here, or visitors?
We don't all live together, but with my daughters and my granddaughters, so we do kind of have that generational still.
Yeah. Yeah, very, very nice. All right. So what if we take this information and decide to build a strong multi-generational family? What if we built our families with intentionality and the mindset that this is a multi-generational family bearing fruit for hundreds of years and more into the future? The way we help shape our families now will have major ramifications on them and the world around us. So, any questions on anything before we move on? Comments, thoughts?
I had one final thought. I was thinking about last names, how if someone's last name is Fletcher, it's because the family now the Fletchers, and even if they don't do that anymore, somebody's last name is Hunter, it's probably because the family of the Hunters, so Baker, like all different kinds of
Yep,
last names that you just
their
have.
names are actually associated with the trade.
All right.
It was passed down.
Yeah. So, Molly, do you know what a Fletcher is? You're going to have to explain.
Someone who makes arrows out of
Yeah.
their tree.
Like, arrows, Molly?
Jeremiah, the other thing I thought is the danger of raising your children till they're just 18. I think that's why we're seeing so much damage in Gen Z, like the late teens and the early 20s into the early 30s, where you have so many kids refusing to interact with their parents anymore because of damage. And I think it's because they didn't feel integrated into the family. So now they're striving to become their own person, which is what they were trained to be. And we're almost cutting that generations apart. And then there's just so many hurt people left over.
Hmm. All right. So, I know this is church, so we should be looking at our Bibles here. So, anybody want to look up a verse? Looks like you guys are ready. So, Psalm 127, 3 through 5. So I guess before you you can look that up, but don't read it yet. So how do we currently look at children, like in our culture? Would anybody, yes?
They get in the way of who you want them to be. They kind of can interfere with your individuality. Sometimes they'll say, oh, you kind of get absorbed into your role, so you lose who you were. A lot of that kind of language. After I've seen the world, or after I've done things worth talking about, which only implies that having children isn't worth talking about, right? It's like, well, when I'm proud of what I've done, implying children aren't something to be proud of. So a lot of negatives, at least in American culture, I would say. And then, you wonder why people feel lonely and unfulfilled.
All right, that's a pretty good summary. Anybody else have any thoughts on how our culture currently thinks of children? What do you guys agree with, Julia, here?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with that. They're generally thought of as an afterthought, something I'll do later,
Or
and
step to
major inconvenience to the point where if I don't want them, I'll just go ahead and kill them.
All right, well, let's read what God thinks about children. So, you guys want to, somebody wants to read Psalm 127, 3 through 5?
3 through 5.
Yes.
This is King James. Lo, children are a heritage of the Lord, and the fruit of the womb is his reward. As arrows are in the hand of a mighty man, so are children of the youth. Happy is the man that hath his quiver full of them. They shall not be ashamed, but they shall speak with the enemies in the gate.
So, yeah, so the Bible talks about children being a heritage, about being a gift. So, yeah, what does that change for us then if we're going to read the Bible and take it seriously? And I mean, we're all living in this culture, so, we can pick that up, that narrative that you were describing. But then what could this change for us as Christ followers?
You can see Christ tells us to suffer the little children, which kind of gives some insight that even the disciples didn't want to suffer the little children. It's like, get them out of here, right? It's adult time or something. And Jesus says, no. Be patient. Of course, they need to be taught, but be patient and have them with you.
And I wasn't going to bring this up, or I wasn't going to read this part, but somebody did bring up grandparents. And let's see, are you a grandmother? Okay, so we have to bring it up now. So how do children view their parents in this culture? And then number 2, how do we currently think about grandparents in our culture? And what do we typically do with people with gray hair? And is youthfulness more revered? And let's see, Gabe, you have your Bible open. Well, we can answer that question, but then you can read Proverbs 17:6. So what do you think? Like, do you think that, like, okay, maybe, do any of you guys, these younger kids, like, do you guys have, like, posters on your wall, like, in your room of, like, your heroes? Anybody? Posters on your wall? Katie, Molly? Like, does anybody have posters on their wall of somebody with gray hair? Like, their heroes? Well, I don't know. Read Proverbs 17:6, Gabe.
Children's children are the crown of old men, and the glory of children are their homes.
All right. So, what would you guys think then, as far as, should we have some of our heroes and some of our people that we look up to, should they all be younger than us? Or is it possible we should maybe have some heroes that are, have some gray hairs?
Should probably be older because they have the experiences.
Uh,
I keep on finding that even though I knew everything when I was 17, my dad just continues to have more wisdom as I get older. So it's definitely something where the experiences certainly add up in the lifetime that they've lived. It's good to talk to the other generations and get a different perspective.
yeah.
Well, it just reminds me of a conversation we had, a couple of coworkers had went out to lunch, and one younger kid, he was Chinese, grew up in Cambodia, and he asked myself and the other lady how old we were. And the guy sitting with us, like, you can't do that. What are you doing? You can't ask a woman how old she is. And it was just a cultural, and it was pure, I don't want to call it ignorance, but it was just a cultural thing. And he's just like, well, why not? And he was just like, that's an insult. And he's like, no, it's an honor.
Mm.
And we're like sitting there looking at each other, and we're like, what do you mean it's an honor? He's like, you
three people who are younger for the same amount of money, that kind of stuff is aggravating. You're getting rid of that experience. Just for, a lot of times for purely monetary reasons. But it's just, there's no respect for anybody, nothing about your own person.
Add to what Beth was talking about. This, a young man, well, he's younger than me, would be a younger brother of mine who usually stands up front. When he was 21, I was 30, I guess, no, I was 34. And he was living with my husband and I, and my birthday came around, he's like, "You are so old." Well, guess what happened when he was 34? I got the honor of returning that favor to him, reminding him just how old he was. Because that 14 years went by very quickly.
Right.
And he was just like, "Oh man, you were 34 when I did that to you, didn't you?" Yep. Yep. Welcome to oldhood.
So, do any of you guys have any ways that you've tried to? This is not in my notes, but it's a good topic. Does anybody have any ways that they try to honor their parents, their elders, in a way that can like demonstrate to your children the importance of that? You know, like if we don't show that, you know, as parents, let's say. To our kids, you know, if we don't like honor our elders, you know, then it's you know, there's really no example for that for our kids, you know. So I feel like it might start with us, you know, like as parents of families, to honor our, you know, our parents, to show our kids that. I mean, that's one way that could happen. So I don't know. Do you guys have any ways that you do that at all, Bridge?
I'm thinking that we've tried to have like family dinners and have grandparents over. Started doing Friday night dinner with sometimes when grandparents have been over. Said a prayer with them, said some blessings with them for like if it was their birthday, and had our kids just share special, meaningful things that those grandparents meant to them. And really blessed that grandparents share, especially with grandchildren, how they.
Yeah, so you're talking about our Shabbat meals we've been doing. So we've been trying to do a weekly meal modeled after like like a Hebrew, you know, Shabbat dinner. And one interesting thing, you guys were there last night. There's a table blessing that is said, and it's supposed to be read by the oldest father and mother. You know, there's a blessing of the sons and a blessing of the daughters, and that's supposed to be read by the oldest father and oldest mother around the table. So that's just, I think, an example culturally in the Hebrew culture how that honor of, you know, the elder, you know, would be that'd be like a weekly reminder, like, you know, all your kids are there and, you know, your grandparents are the ones saying the blessing, you know, so it's like built into the culture, you know. So I guess that's what I'm, you know, just to think about any other cultural, you know, traditions that lift up the elders, you know, so. All right. So yeah, let's say in conclusion, there's more here, but we'll do this last part and then see where we're at. So children are not a liability on a balance sheet, an impediment to your wants, like you were saying, or something to raise for a season to get back our time. They are an asset. Each child has intellectual, physical, and social capital with unique gifts and talents they bring to your household and others. We are training them to become a disciple who will make disciples. They are part of the generational line who carry on all the stewardship of your family and increase it. The parable of the talents reminds us we are accountable for what we are given. You are blessed with a vast array of gifts and talents in your children to shape and steward. You will have a whole team to bring on a mission. You will become sanctified in having children. You will learn new relational aspects of God. You have the choice to receive this as a blessing for the good of your household or reject it. So, yeah, any thoughts, comments? I can, this is just maybe just off the cuff, but will you raise your hand? No. I don't know. Gabe was a huge blessing to us last night, and a huge blessing to everybody that was at our little Bach Fest. So, yeah, that was neat. You know, just one of your sons going out and blessing others. So that was just one little example. But okay.
Kind of talking about passing things down from generation to generation. I was actually talking to my mom today on the phone, and part of a larger conversation we were having, we talked about a little bit about how like a godly heritage, you can pass that down. As you like, I grew up in a Christian family, so that was a huge blessing for me. My parents, they didn't really. So, but because they, invested in us, me and my siblings spiritually, they were able to, pass on spiritual blessings. So not just, we were talking about, skills and money and resources, but also you can pass down spiritual blessings. And so now, when I have my family, then I'll be able to build on that. And we were talking about that because the pastor of the church she goes to, his mom passed away recently, and so they had the celebration of life, and the pastor spoke there. He talked about how his mom had a huge impact on his life. His mom, invested in him spiritually, and she was a big prayer warrior, studied the Bible a lot, invested into a lot of people's lives, especially into his life. And because of that, now he has a ministry to a church that's several thousand.
Hmm.
And so, it's kind of like, the blessings that started with his mom, they, pass on to him and multiply through. So.
Yeah. Yes.
So I was going to actually say something a little bit similar with the spiritual blessings because you mentioned, it's not a thing to do and then get it out of the way so we can go back to our lives, right? Raising children. Because actually, it's tied to the greatest commandment. It's one of the reasons we read the greatest commandment every week in our Bible study, is because if you go back to, what Jesus is referencing, with, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord, right? And if you keep reading, the Lord wants us to, not only does he want us to, talk about his commandments and think about him from the time we wake up, walking by the way, before we lie down, but one of the things that's tied into that is you're teaching them diligently to your children. So like having children and then passing on the commandments of the Lord go together. It is like literally it is the greatest commandment. It's tied to the greatest commandment. So there's very few things that you can do in life that could surpass that as far as spiritually being significant. So.
Yeah, that is how God has intended for His truth to, perpetuate in the world. Is from parents to children. And so. Yeah. All right. So, I think it's probably time to wrap up. Do you think? Yeah. All right. Well, so thankful for this opportunity and for this great discussion. And yeah, maybe if I ever fill in again, we can keep going with the discussion. So, thank you.